The history of Egypt as a Muslim state starts in 641 when the Rashidun Caliphate conquered Egypt and ended the rule of the Byzantine Empire. For the next 300 years, there was much infighting among the successors to the Prophet Muhammad. The Fatimids conquered Egypt in 969, and Cairo was founded as their capital in the same year. Cairo is still evolving, with 100-year-old buildings sporting satellite dishes. One place in the city where you can glimpse the earliest years, and that's where we're headed now. Historic Cairo was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979, citing its large concentration of historic buildings. In 969, at the direction of the Fatimid Caliph, work began on the walled city with 2 large palaces and a mosque. The main street through historic Cairo is Al-Muiz Lidin Allah Al-Fatimi Street, named after the caliph who caused it to be built between 969 and 973. And this is where we'll be walking today. We'll be walking from north to south, from left to right on this map. In blue are the historic buildings along the way. We enter the old walled city through the north gate, the Bab el-Fatah. The initial gate and the city walls were built in brick. The present gate was completed in 1087 when the walls were rebuilt in dressed stone. The elaborate decorations follow Byzantine architectural traditions. Just inside the gate is the Al-Hakim Mosque. Construction started in 990 and was completed in 1013. In 1980, a major restoration and reconstruction was completed, and the mosque was reopened for religious use. The interior of the mosque fell into ruin over many centuries. It was used as a prison during the Crusades, as a stable by Saladin, and a fortress by Napoleon, an Islamic arts museum in 1890, and a boys' school in the 20th century. Remnants of the original decoration, including stucco carvings and Quranic inscriptions, were preserved, but most of the present interior dates from 1980. The restoration included a new marble mihrab, whose motifs imitated the Fatimid-era stucco mihrab in the Al-Azhar Mosque. As we walk through this centuries-old street, the sights are timeless, like these women selling olives and lemons. If it weren't for the satellite dishes, electric lights, and phone wires, you could have seen this scene 300 years ago. This is a sabil, a public water fountain, and part of the mosque of Suleiman Aga al-Siladan. It dates to 1839 and was renovated in 2015. Our next stop is Beit al-Suhaimi, a traditional Ottoman house originally built in 1648 and continuously occupied as a residence until 1931 when the Egyptian government bought it to preserve it. The house is interesting architecturally and also culturally. The first floor contains the public reception rooms for men, Salamlik. On the second floor, the women have their reception rooms, Aramlik. There are cozy rooms with fireplaces for the chilly nights of the Cairo winter, and light, airy rooms for use during the hot summers. High ceilings were topped with a shashika, a cupola with windows that could be opened to let out the hot air in summer. A water fountain helps humidify and cool the rooms. Center of the house is the San, a private open courtyard. Mashrabia replaced glass windows. These panels of intricately turned wooden spindles allow air to flow from the outside. Walls also featured little doors that could be opened to allow the woman of the house to look out without being seen from the outside. Then we're back on Al-Muiz Street. Our next stop is the Al-Akbar Mosque, built in 1125. This is an important example of Fatimid architecture due to its exceptional exterior decoration and an innovative floor plan. The mosque has a square courtyard surrounded by roofed sections defined by four centered arches. The novelty of the floor plan is that the facade is oriented toward El Moiz Street, while the prayer hall is oriented toward Mecca. And as back into El Moiz Street, the guy on the bike has just delivered some bread and is returning with the empty racks. This is a public water fountain, and on the second floor, a Kutab, a Quranic elementary school, built in 1744. Our next stop is the Hammam of Sultan Inal, built in 1456. These public baths are another example of private commissions for public buildings and services. Changing room for the hammam. The hot room, where bathers cleanse themselves with steam. Back to El Moiz Street, with the minarets of Kuala One Mosque ahead. This store selling old telephone equipment caught Sherry's eye. Cats are everywhere in Cairo. In Islamic tradition, cats are admired for their cleanliness. They're considered ritualistically clean and are allowed to enter homes and even mosques. We are in the center of the old walled city, where the Fatimid palaces were. After Saladin overthrew the Fatimids in 1171, the palaces were no longer useful, and the prime real estate opened up for redevelopment. Internal succession crises had already weakened the Fatimid Caliphate when an external threat appeared: the Christian Crusaders, bent on taking back the Holy Lands from the Muslims. After some success as a military commander against the Crusaders, Saladin was appointed vizier to the Fatimid Caliph. He restructured the military and consolidated his power before overthrowing the last Fatimid Caliph in 1171 and becoming the first Sultan of Egypt. But Saladin's family dynasty, the Ayyubids, was not to last. Succession battles and political intrigue weakened the regime. In 1250, the Mamluk generals overthrew the last sultan and assumed control of the sultanate. The Mamluks were non-Arab mercenaries, slave soldiers, and freed slaves. Many rose to powerful positions in the military and administration of the Ayyubid Caliphate. The Kuala One complex was built over the ruins of the Fatimid Western Palace in 1285. It's one of several multifunction buildings centered around the tomb of religious figures or patrons. This complex includes a mausoleum, a madrasa, a hospital, and a mosque. The madrasa has 4 iwans arranged around an open court with a pool in the center. The dormitory is on the right-hand side. The prayer room of the madrasa is on the east side of the courtyard. Mamluk architecture was characterized by elaborate decoration, glass mosaics, and carved stone. The mihrab of the madrasa is decorated with glass mosaics and mother of pearl. The mausoleum houses the bodies of Sultan Kalawan and his son Al-Nasir Muhammad. Their cepitaph is behind the elaborate wooden screen. The mihrab of the mausoleum is the most lavish of its kind, with carved stone and marble mosaics. The calligraphy in the frieze continues all around the room. The dome served as the ceremonial center for the investing of new emirs. Next to the Kuala One complex is the madrasa of his son, Al-Nasir Muhammad. Its most unique feature is the Gothic marble portal acquired from a church in Acre after a victory over the Crusaders in 1291. The highly stylized and decorated stucco designs in the lower rectangular portion of the minaret are another unique element of this madrasa. The mosque and madrasa of Sultan Barkoko stand next to the Kuala One complex and the madrasa of Al-Nasir Muhammad. Taken together, they represent one of the greatest arrangements of Mamluk monumental architecture. The bronze doors of the entrance are finely decorated with geometric patterns based on 18 and 12 pointed stars. Looking up, standing in the vestibule, we see this amazing dome. Walk down a narrow corridor with a mosaic floor. Through this beautifully carved door, we enter the madrasa. It's become a familiar form, a courtyard surrounded by 4 iwans. The water fountain in the center is a 19th century addition. What a hidden treasure. Just look at what the inside of the fountain's dome looks like. Inside each iwan are some beautiful old doors. The prayer hall is richly decorated in marble mosaics and panels. Crowning glory is the painted and carved ceiling. Next to the prayer room is the mausoleum. Sultan Barkoka was not buried here, but the chamber does contain a tomb of one of his daughters. Always looking up, it's another beautiful domed ceiling. On our way out, we pause in the courtyard to examine the minaret. Its unique octagonal shape makes it easy to recognize. As we retrace our steps, we see more details we missed on the way in. The grilled window in the corridor reveals the prayer hall. Our next stop is Khan al-Khalili, the souk in the walled city. The word Khan refers to a 2-story building with shops at the street level and upper level living areas. This gate is Bab al-Badistan, the western gate of the old souk. The Al-Zahar Mosque was one of the original buildings laid down at the founding of Cairo. It has 5 minarets, each with a distinctive design, added during the Mamluk period. We head back into the maze that is Khan al-Khalili. We stop for a late, leisurely lunch at Ziyara, a rooftop restaurant on El Mouis Street. Cairo is called the City of 1,000 Minarets, and from our rooftop restaurant, we can see why. We start with mez and freshly baked bread. The little plates contain hummus, tahini, baba ganoush, stuffed grape leaves, and more. A lot of pigeons in Cairo, so I thought I'd try the pigeon stuffed with walnut, rice, and herbs. Jerry plays it safe and goes for the grilled kofta with fresh bread. It was getting dark as we walked north on El Mouis Street. The Al-Hakim Mosque is lit up with colored lights as we wait for our driver to take us back to our hotel.